Okay, here we are at discussion 16, promotions. And this is a very important part of business. You can have the greatest business in the world, but if you don't know how to promote it and get people to come in the door, it's not going to be a business very long. So promotion in an organization, you have to have a good mix to do that. So you're going to have to do some personal selling, some promotion, PR, and advertising. Now, all of those are different. Personal selling starts on a one-to-one relationship from the clerk at the front desk to you going out speaking with people. Advertising is going to appeal to the masses, and it can be done through email, it can be done through papers, radio, television, YouTube, web pages, about anything, but it's a one-to-many operation. Personal selling is a one-to-one operation. Public relations is telling the public you do good. Having good public relations means having the general public think highly and well of you. And sometimes you have to promote that yourself. Sales promotions are usually sales or coupons, things of that nature, where you're promoting your product and you're kind of giving a gift along with it. So those are the 4 areas we look at as you're doing promotion in an organization. And the mix, it can be varied. You can, but you're going to do a little bit of all of that. So you can do integrated marketing communication, which literally means pulling that all together. You're going to create that positive brand image, such as for your books and your coffee. You want to make people see your sign or think of you and go, good, or whatever. You need a little slogan to create that brand image. You want to always make sure you're meeting that customer's needs. Just because you think it's a great thing doesn't mean they do. And they're the ones that help you pay the bills. So make sure you're always surveying and talking with your customers. And finally, you need to meet the strategic marketing and promotional goals of your company, which means you need to have strategic marketing and goals. You have to have a plan to make that happen. Here's something that's kind of interesting. Amy's Breads, which is a very small organization, couldn't afford to outsource her promotion, so she needs to be creative, obviously. She hasn't got any money, is what she's saying. So she sends out stories about her company and has company shirts that people can wear or maybe even buy. Every time somebody puts on a t-shirt and walks downtown, they're going to see her name. So she does a lot of talking too. She builds up relationships by belonging to organizations, the Rotary, the Chamber of Commerce, any type of organization where she's out in the community. So it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You've just got to be creative with how you do it. And sometimes this type of campaign works 100% better than the other kind where you're spending a bunch of money. So the steps to set up a promotional campaign is you've got to obviously identify your market, which you've already done. You've got to define your objectives, determine your budget, we're in the process of, develop a message for each area that is unified and consistent and builds on each other, and then you implement the plan and come back and evaluate how effective it is. If it's not effective in one area, you're going to change it, because you're going to always be looking at these 4 areas. Are we selling personally? Are we advertising well? What's not working here? So that's kind of how you're going to develop a promotional campaign. Seems easy, doesn't it? Until you try to do it. So what are the major goals of advertising? Well, obviously you want to get people in the door, but you're also trying to inform them about your product. You're trying to somewhat persuade them that your product is the best. And number 2, advertising reminds people you're still there. Get them in the door once is good, but you got to keep them coming back. So those are the 3 major goals of advertising. It's really interesting how much money we spend on advertising. $241 billion yearly is spent on advertising. And that's through TV, radio, newspapers, magazines, all kinds of ways. Without advertising, we wouldn't have television programs that we could afford or radio programs, either one. But the really big one we couldn't have would be Google, because Google is totally funded by advertisers. So there is some good things about advertising, even though it irritates you. You can do social advertising, which is really very fast and just coming on with Twitter and Facebook. I think Facebook may be falling out of favor over Twitter. Twitter seems to be the one that's really coming on, and I'm sure there are others in the wings waiting to come out. So this is going to be ongoing with the social media. Major categories of advertising, you've got retail and, trade, your typical ones. Institutional, Ivy Tech wants to create an image. And then you can have a specific product. Let's see, let's look at a specific car, a Mustang. It has big advertising budgets. And there are categories of advertising. You can be an advocate, an advocacy, so you're pushing a certain viewpoint. You can compare. You can be interactive, and the customer can look through it and choose what they want to read about you or know about you. You've got online ads, obviously, and then you have mobile, which is really, really very big right now. This is outdated. I don't think we have cell phones anymore. I think they're smartphones. So that is becoming the biggest way to advertise at this point in time, is the mobile. And this, again, I believe this is probably lower, the direct mailing. Broadcast TV is still pretty popular. If you don't believe that, go look at the political ads right now. Newspapers have fallen. You've got cable TV. But you can kind of see, I would say this internet has risen, or has arisen, I guess you could say, up this list a little bit since this has been created. And what's kind of fun is having a slogan for your company, and you need to think of a slogan for your company as you're developing it. I don't know if any of these ring a bell. I remember this, Good to the Last Drop, that was Folgers Coffee. But You Can't Eat Just One was Frito-Lay's. Because You're Worth It, I haven't got a clue on what that one is, but you may know what some of those. Takes a Licking and Keeps on Ticking was some type of watch. I can't remember. These things, slogans are very big, and you probably have some of your own generation. Televisions are still dominant, it's saying. DVRs, I think, are pretty well extinct, right? But you still have your DVDs that you can skip ads with. One of the ways they get around people skipping ads is to actually put the product right in the picture. You can see here, Coca-Cola. There's been quite a bit of controversy sometimes because people are smoking or drinking, so that has to be watched. But if you can get an ad or a product placement in a large movie or any type of documentary going on in the area, it's a big plus because everybody sees it. You have infomercials and online advertising, which really are coming into their own right now. It's much more personal than the ad on the television. Some of the famous ones, and you may not remember these, the Vegematic, Ginsu knives, the Clapper, where it turns off the lights, the Thigh Master, where it helps with the health. All of these came through Infomercial Hall of Fame, which is literally a 20-minute set explaining these things, and they were on television all over the place. I don't know how popular they are now. You always want to monitor how your ads are doing. Don't just throw the money into a hole and think, oh gee, I did advertising, because you want to make sure you're getting a payback for it. It's not cheap. When you do use social media, okay, you want to create a very strong persona. That means you want to be there. You want to have customers play along. Yeah, I mean, there has to be interaction. Get bloggers involved. Make it a personal experience. And keep the videos or whatever it is you're using short and to the point. Nobody likes to sit for 20 minutes listening to a voice. And you guys can attest to that in the lecture. It's rather boring. Other areas that are kind of challenging would be global advertising, because you're going into so many different countries. You want to make sure that the translation of your product is correct and it doesn't insult anyone. So there are steps in the selling process when you're selling personally. You've got a pre-approach and you've got an approach. You make the presentation, you answer objections, and then you close the sale. Okay? You've always got to be open, and you've got to be very agile in this area. You never want to pressure somebody to buy. That'll back them off more than anything. So strategies for selling is you got to know your competition, because other people know you. Your competition knows you. You've got to understand your customer. You understand a student because you are a student, so you'll be very good at selling to students. You've got to make your product different. If you have to pick the target market, you don't want to be selling textbooks to the community at large. I mean, that's rather evident. Building relationships to get people to buy is very important. Trust, liking, being treated fair makes a big difference in business. And you have to put the right people in the right selling spots, which means you don't put a Grinch at the cash register. Or you don't put somebody there who yells and screams all the time, because people won't come back. And these are some sales slip-ups I just left in there. I thought they were cute. Don't try to be somebody you aren't. Be who you are. They'll catch it right away. Getting upset during the presentation, that can really, if you show you're threatened, that it'll pretty well wipe out anything you're saying at the time. And showing that money is the only reason you're trying to sell. Actually tell them that you think their product will help them. And if you don't believe that, then you need to figure out a way to learn to believe that, because people will pick up a fake, miles away. If you're selling to a business, you're going to do the same things. You're going to approach, ask questions, make presentations. You're going to close the sale, hopefully, and then you're going to follow up and start all over again with the next process. PR literally is making sure that the public has a good vision or a good opinion of you. Do good, I guess, is what I'm saying. You've got sales promotions, and that's mainly you're going to be working on customer sales promotions. You may do some business-to-business sales if you're going to sell your coffee to a large business on a weekly basis or something of that nature. If you cater your bakery goods, you'll have to deal with business-to-business. And some key ways to do this would be coupons, demonstrations, samplings. You could have an open house. I would have an open house and have contests and giveaways just to get people to come in from the community. These are promotions, is what they're talking about. Word of mouth will be very big, especially if you were to be right next to Ivy Tech. All the students would come. And if you give them a good experience, they'll come back over and over and over again. So keep these things in mind. Paying attention to the positive things people say. You could do a YouTube on people having fun and have it go viral on YouTube. There are all kinds of ways to get the word out there that doesn't cost you any money, especially if you're using the internet to pull this off. Other ways are blogs, podcasting. This is kind of out of out of date. A blog, if you had your own blog and brought up good books for people to go to and comment on, and you could actually do promotions through that. There are all kinds of ways. Mobile media, my goodness, you're going to have a whole school. Everybody's got a smartphone, so you could have everybody log on to your Twitter account and send out promotions through the Twitter account or through texts. So there's a lot of possibilities to reach many of your much of your market. And finally, promotional strategies. You can push, pull, or pick. Push is when you're using advertising and personal selling. Pull directs heavy advertising, sales, promotions, efforts towards employees and our consumers. You're trying to draw them in. When you push, you're just you're throwing advertising out there and hoping that they're going to come in. And you can draw them in. So you've got a variety of ways to do it. I think the best is to pull people in by their own accord by using promotions and coming in and doing open houses, interactive things, going to the blog, giving them something they want that they willingly come to. So that's a little bit about the promotion or about advertising per se.